The active ingredient in Ozempic costs 29 cents to produce, not $29, 29 cents. The monthly prescription, $935. That is a markup of roughly 20,000%. And the company behind this single molecule is now worth more than the entire economy of the country it's headquartered in. In 2024, Novo Nordisk, a Danish pharmaceutical company most people had never heard of 5 years ago, generated $26 billion from just two drugs, Ozempic and Wegovy. Both contain the same active ingredient, semaglutide. One is approved for type 2 diabetes, the other for weight loss. Same molecule, different label. Combined, they account for 70% of the entire company's revenue. That revenue pushed Novo Nordisk's market cap past $600 billion, making it briefly the most valuable company in all of Europe. Bigger than LVMH, bigger than Nestlé, a pharmaceutical company that most Americans couldn't name 5 years ago, worth more than the luxury empires of France. But the real story isn't just that Ozempic is profitable. Lots of drugs are profitable. The story is how it became this profitable, and the machinery Novo Nordisk built to make sure nobody else can compete. Semaglutide didn't start as a weight loss drug. It started with a hormone called GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, discovered in the late 1980s by researchers studying the gut. GLP-1 does something simple but powerful. It tells your pancreas to release insulin after you eat. The problem? Natural GLP-1 breaks down in the bloodstream in about 90 seconds, useless as a drug. For years, pharmaceutical chemists tried to make a version that would last longer, and in the early 2000s, a team at Novo Nordisk, led by chemist Lotte Bjerre-Knudsen, found the trick. They attached a fatty acid chain to the GLP-1 molecule. That chain binds to a blood protein called albumin, which acts like a shield. Suddenly, instead of lasting 90 seconds, it lasted a week. By 2008, semaglutide entered clinical trials. By 2017, the FDA approved Ozempic for type 2 diabetes. But here's where the economics shift. During clinical trials, patients kept reporting an unexpected side effect, significant weight loss. Novo Nordisk saw an opportunity the size of a continent. In 2021, the FDA approved Wegovy, the same semaglutide molecule, at a higher dose for chronic weight management. Overnight, Novo Nordisk wasn't just selling a diabetes drug to a few million patients. It was selling a weight loss solution to a potential market of hundreds of millions. But getting here was only half the battle. Keeping competitors out? That required a different kind of engineering. Novo Nordisk has filed 320 patent applications in the United States for semaglutide, not 320 different drugs, 320 patents on a single molecule. Of those, 154 have been granted. They cover everything: the molecule itself, the specific dose, the injection device, the buffer solution the drug sits in, the method of administration, the titration schedule your doctor uses to increase your dose, every conceivable angle, patented. This strategy has a name in the pharmaceutical industry: a patent thicket. A wall of overlapping intellectual property designed to make it functionally impossible for generic manufacturers to enter the market without tripping over at least one patent. The original compound patents were set to expire in March 2026. But through regulatory extensions, that's now pushed to December 2031. And the follow-on patents, those extend exclusivity all the way to 2042. The nonprofit I-MAK estimates that this 5-year extension alone will generate an additional $166 billion in revenue for Novo Nordisk, $166 billion from paperwork. And when patients found a workaround, compounding pharmacies producing affordable semaglutide at a fraction of the price, Novo Nordisk didn't just compete on price, they went to court. 111 lawsuits across 32 states, then they went to the FDA. By early 2025, an estimated 3.7 million Americans were getting compounded semaglutide from pharmacies that made it for a fraction of the brand name price. These weren't illegal operations. Under FDA rules, compounding pharmacies can produce copies of drugs that are in shortage, and semaglutide was in shortage. Demand was so extreme that Novo Nordisk couldn't manufacture enough. So compounders stepped in, patients got their medication, the shortage eased. Then, in February 2025, the FDA declared the shortage over. And once a shortage is over, compounders have to stop. The FDA gave pharmacies until April 2025 to wind down. 3.7 million patients cut off. Not because the drug stopped working, not because it became dangerous, because the shortage, the only legal basis for affordable competition, was declared resolved. Meanwhile, across much of the American South and Midwest, health researchers identified what they call GLP-1 deserts, regions where the combination of high obesity rates, lower wages, and limited insurance coverage means the people who need these drugs most are the least likely to afford them. And here's the number that puts it all in perspective. Novo Nordisk's net profit in 2024 was $14.6 billion. Its R&D budget, $5 billion. The company earned nearly 3 times more in profit than it spent on all research combined. Step back and look at the full picture. A molecule that costs 29 cents is manufactured into a product that sells for $935. That product generates $26 billion a year. The company behind it is worth more than Denmark's entire economy. It's protected by 320 patents extending to 2042. And when affordable alternatives appeared, they were eliminated, not by better science, but by legal strategy. This is the most profitable molecule in the history of medicine. Not because it's the most effective, not because it's the most innovative, but because the system around it, the patents, the pricing, the regulatory machinery, was engineered to capture maximum value from maximum desperation. If you want to see how the same playbook works in the supplement industry, a $200 billion business that doesn't have to prove anything it sells actually works, that story is next. Follow Mundane Markets for more hidden economics.